AEW Revolution this Sunday. I said it at the top of the show. I'm going to say it again. I don't watch nearly as much AEW as I used to. And Andy, what I did watch was still not all of it, right?
Right.
I watch even less now, but this is a big show. This is one of the big four of AEW.
Yep.
They have more than four now.
Yeah.
Probably like, what, 6, 7?
6, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover it. We're going to talk about it. Chris is going to ask a lot of questions. Andy's going to answer a lot of questions. All right?
Maybe.
I do. Maybe. I do have the card in front of me. We are going to talk about it. It seems like a super solid card, as all AEW pay-per-views end up being.
Yeah.
You know, there are many times that we've talked and you look at a card and you're like, this is not going to hold up to the last one. And then you walk away and be like, you know what, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I remember like All In happened, and then like the next week was All Out, and we were like, there's not like anything crazy happening. And then Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks go out there and have maybe one of like the top 5 matches of the year and just kill each other. And it was like, oh, okay, even the not well booked or not well told pay-per-views in AEW, they're like takeovers now. Of like even the ones that I'm not super excited for, I'm like the wrestling's still going to be top notch.
What's your level of excitement for this one comparatively speaking?
Comparatively speaking, it's not as high as some of the other ones, but it's not the lowest it's been either, because it's hard not to be excited about Sting's last match.
Sure.
And also the world title triple threat, I am extremely excited for. I mean, extremely excited for.
We're going to get to both of those, but you mentioned a trigger that is going to segue. Here we go. You mentioned match of the year.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about Takeshita versus Will Ospreay.
You already calling it match of the year this year?
No.
Could be. It could be.
No, what I'm saying is let's talk about Takeshita versus Ospreay, because Will Ospreay was just announced as winning the match of the year in the Wrestler Observer newsletter, what have you. Awards, thank you. Against Kenny Omega. It was the Wrestle Kingdom match. Is that right? Because they had 3 last year.
It was either Forbidden Door or Wrestle Kingdom.
I don't remember. I feel like it was Wrestle Kingdom.
I think it was, but like barely.
Could be wrong. Having said
later.
that, Will Ospreay ran away with a lot of these awards, and I have a problem with it. So we're going to talk about it. I can understand. You know how in the NFL, when they give out the awards at the end of the year, the offensive player of the year in the NFL is typically an offensive player, not a quarterback.
Because the MVP is going to be quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like Will Ospreay winning most outstanding wrestler serves the purpose of what they needed it for, and he didn't need to win wrestler of the year as well. Like because I texted you about this, and you said he was my wrestler of the year as well.
Yeah.
Valid opinion. We talk all the time. Wrestling is all about opinions, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite match is not Andy's favorite match, and Andy's favorite wrestler is not mine. That's fine. Everybody can have their own opinion. But do you see where I'm coming from? Where that could have served the purpose?
Yeah, I do. Because I get the comparison with the NFL of like, you're never really going to see an offensive award go to Patrick Mahomes, because he's always going to be in the MVP talk.
Exactly.
So they're not going to give both.
For example, like when somebody runs for 2,000 yards,
right?
They don't win the MVP.
Right.
They win offensive player of the year.
Yeah. But I kind of look at it like college football awards, of like the quarterback that wins the Heisman is also going to win the Maxwell, because he's
in most cases I guess.
And that kind of fit. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I think so. Ospreay won Wrestler of the Year. Cody was second.
Okay.
Which
do you have a list on your phone?
I just have the top 3 of each category.
Who was 3?
MJF was 3.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Okay, forget the argument about
Ospreay.
Forget that I think Seth Rollins should have been Wrestler of the Year. Forget that argument. Can we talk about MJF for a second?
Yeah.
He finishes 3rd in Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah.
He wins most charismatic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yet.
He also finished 3rd in Match of the Year. with Danielson. The Iron Man match. No, not the Iron Man. Was it Iron Man?
Probably.
Yeah.
It was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yet, he was in the worst feud of the year.
Yeah.
Versus the Devil. The worst character of the year was the Devil, which MJF was wrapped up in the whole time. How in the world does he finish that high in Wrestler of the Year, win an award, and be associated with two of the worst things?
The same way that WWE can also win, like during the Vince era, they can also win like the worst promotion of the year, worst booking of the year, which there were a lot of years, like 2011, they deserve to be in that category. Sure. But also CM Punk can be like Wrestler of the Year that same year. Because I think while the Devil storyline was horrible and all of the stuff surrounding the Devil stuff, the thing that everybody talked about for a majority of the year was MJF and Adam Cole. And so I think that puts them...
Could they not have just won Tag Team of the Year then?
Well, no, because they split up. I think he has to be... I think the rules are like they have to be a tag team up to a certain... Because that's why the Usos didn't finish in the Tag Team of the Year, because they split. Okay. They split.
Okay. Let me... I can't even come up with words right now. I think what I'm trying to nail down here. WWE had a banner year.
They did, absolutely. They won promotion of the year.
Incredible. They won promotion of the year.
Yeah.
They won
Triple H won book of the year. Yep.
Great. Yep. Fantastic. What I don't get is guys that are topping the chart. Like Cody Rhodes won like the US MVP or whatever it was. Yeah. But guys that are topping the charts, that are as popular as they are. LA Knight is on this list for the worst match of the year, which was not the worst match.
What match was that?
The Bray Wyatt match. That was worst match of the year.
Did that win worst match of the year?
Yes. And that was not the worst match of the year by any stretch.
Yeah. It was one of the worst. It was not that great.
It was not that great, but it was not the worst. But as good of a year as 2023 was LA Knight's year.
Yeah.
2023 had Seth Rollins all over it. Neither of those guys get anything. That's my problem with this. I'm okay. I understand that the Wrestler Observer newsletter skews to fans who might watch more AEW than anything, or more Japan than anything, or look down on WWE for some reason. I get that that's the market. That's what it is. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. But come on, people. I just don't get it.
Yeah, and again, you got to think this is based off of their newsletter subscribers' votes.
Yeah.
So they're going to be swayed to certain areas.
Yeah.
Which is why the WWE actually won Promotion of the Year this year. I think that shows how far WWE has actually come in a lot of people's minds, that even 2 years ago were anti-WWE, are even sitting back going, okay, like this WWE is actually at a spot where we want it to be now.
That's true.
I think with Seth, a majority of people love him, but there's a lot of people that do not like this character.
I guess it's true.
Because it's not... He literally comes out and just laughs and wears these these goofy suits. I love him. I'm about as big of a Seth Rollins mark as you can get. But there's a lot of people that don't like his character. Right. However, when the bell rings, there's only a handful of people that might even be better than him. I think Ospreay's one of them. I think Ospreay just had a killer year. But, I think there's a lot of people that are not into his character. And so I get why he wasn't necessarily named. I think he would be in my top 10 for sure. I don't know if he'd be in my top 3. I really don't. But he would be in my top 10 for sure.
That's a conversation.
See, let me ask you this. Where do you have Roman?
Somewhere in the top 10.
I wouldn't have him high, though, on the top 10.
No, I wouldn't.
I'd probably have him 10th.
For 2023, yeah, for sure.
Because he hadn't done nothing. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't done anything. So I think that's there's just a lot of guys that probably should be in the conversation, but they're not just taking into account WWE and AEW. There's a lot of outside things. Also, though, I will say this. Tyrus was on a lot of this list, and he should have won all the worst stuff. because Tyrus is horrible in the ring.
Especially when NWA won worst promotion
and worst show.
Yeah. Dynamite winning best show. Yeah, okay, we're done. Can't talk about it anymore. Okay. Let's move on through the rest of this card. We're going to give predictions for all this stuff towards the end here. Let's talk about the Women's Championship. Toni Storm, Deonna Purrazzo, a really good pairing from what I know. Yep. Please explain to me the Timeless Toni character, though.
Yeah, so it's kind of when she split off from Saraya and Ruby, she kind of fell into this a little bit. And it's kind of like the Seth Rollins character. A lot of people love her, and a lot of people don't like it, don't dig it. I personally am a huge fan of it.
Okay.
I think she's fallen into. She's a British wrestler.
Okay.
And she's going back to like the Marilyn Monroe era, and it's different than kind of anything else that we've seen from anybody else. I don't really think of anybody else that's doing this, and she's making it work really well.
I got you. Okay. I feel like they tried to do that with Carmella.
They tried it with Lacey Evans too.
And tried it with Lacey Evans.
It just didn't really work.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
She's believable at it. I think that's part of it is Toni Storm is very believable at what she's doing.
That makes sense. All right. This matchup, what are your thoughts? What are we looking at here?
Yeah. I'm trying to think future-wise for this.
Yeah.
Because obviously somebody else is going to hit that company in just a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And it's going to be a really big deal. And I think either one of these matchups is great.
I think it plays very much into Toni, though.
I do too. But I don't know if you want Deonna Purrazzo to come straight in and lose at the same time. I do think there's a way, though, that Mariah May could get involved.
Yes.
Cost them, but...
I mean, I think if you you don't want Deonna to come in and lose.
Right.
But if she wins here, isn't she just going to turn around and lose to Mercedes Moné?
See, I don't think Mercedes goes right into the title, though.
Why would she not? And that's not me pushing back. I'm just curious.
I think there's a lot of kind of the same reason why AJ, when he came into WWE, didn't win the world title right away.
Okay.
I think you want them, or Edge. Like Edge hadn't even sniffed the world title yet. I think it's because she wants to probably come in and have matches with Willow Nightingale and like some other people to build to that spot. Because I wouldn't be shocked if she didn't go after the title until All In.
Okay.
And we did Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné at All In. We could do Deonna Purrazzo, Mercedes at All In. I don't know. I agree with you. I think this is more or less, pun intended, Tony's time.
Yep.
But I don't know where Deonna Purrazzo goes after she loses to Toni Storm.
I got you. That makes sense. I should come to WWE and be with her best friend, Chelsea Green. That's what I think. Let's talk about the AEW World Championship. Probably not going to main event the show.
Probably not.
I don't know if that's been confirmed.
I don't think it has.
I would assume it's not going to main event.
Yeah.
But that leads me to believe that there might not be a title change here if it's not the main event. Of course, I'm talking about Hangman, Swerve, and Samoa Joe.
Unless this kicks off the show.
Okay. Then okay.
Because I honestly think, like, I've loved Samoa Joe as champion. I think Samoa Joe is one of those guys that if he's in your company, he should be a world champion at some point.
Sure.
Which it's crazy he never won it in WWE. That makes me hate the Brock Lesnar Universal title reign era more than ever because he should have won it at some point. But I do think it's time to put the title on Swerve.
Why is Swerve so over in AEW? And he, not necessarily that he couldn't be in WWE, but why is it working?
I think the pairing with Prince Nana makes it really, like, it makes it work really well between the two of them. Because we've seen in the past, like, you know, there are wrestlers who are really good by themselves, but you add a manager with them, and for some reason, it just takes it to the next level.
Yep.
I think with Swerve, though, I think in WWE, he wasn't able to really be himself.
Okay.
In a lot of ways.
Makes sense.
And then we get him in AEW, and he's kind of like a John Moxley-esque type character of he doesn't care what he does to himself or to you. And that's why him and Hangman Page, their death match, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people thought it was grotesque. If you know me at all, that was it was right up my alley. So I think he is right at the right time at the right place, and the fans are fully behind him. I think now is the time to put the title on him and let him kind of do his thing in the future, kind of pushing forward. Because now, like, MJF's not going to come back for some time, probably.
Right.
Cole's still not coming back from his injury, probably for another couple months at least. So it gives you enough time to do some other stuff with the world title and with Swerve until those guys come back, and then we can get a much bigger picture at the title.
Lots of rumors right now surrounding Hangman Adam Page and his status for the pay-per-view. Again, we're recording this. Obviously, the show is dropping on Tuesday, so there is another Dynamite and another Collision ahead of this pay-per-view, so a lot can happen. So none of this is set in stone. That's why every wrestling card says card subject to change. But lots of rumors surrounding Hangman Adam Page. Is his ankle injury legit? Is it not? Are there personal problems? Are there not? Lots of things. What is your feeling on the whole thing? And will somebody replace Hangman? Will it just be one-on-one? Is he going to be there?
I think he'll be there. I think he'll be there. I think part of it, he may have tweaked his ankle or something. I don't think he's actually hurt. I think this is probably just all storyline, him playing more into the heelish character he's been playing on TV a lot more. So I think that's playing into that.
Okay.
If he is injured, I think you just make it a straight up one-on-one.
Okay.
And just let them go at it. I don't know who you would, because Kenny's hurt. Obviously, they're keeping Chris Jericho off TV for some time.
He's on tour right now anyway.
I don't really know. I mean, you don't want to throw a Wardlow in there and have him lose already. You don't want to throw...
Do you throw Adam Copeland in there? He's not on the card.
He's not, but he is all over that Christian Daniel Garcia match.
And I understand that. He definitely is. I'm just... if we're throwing people out there...
If I'm throwing people out there, I'd rather have Christian in it than Adam Copeland, because Christian having Killswitch do all the dirty work and him win the title and be double champion would be amazing.
Still so weird. That's Luchasaurus. We talk about surprises all the time. On these AEW pay-per-views. Very, very, very good chance that Okada shows up. At this show. Whether that be confronting Will Ospreay after he beats Takeshita, which I think is probably the most likely scenario. But if Hangman can't go,
throw him in there.
Do you throw Okada
Why not?
in there?
At that point, why not?
Okay.
Why not? Because what's the rule in wrestling? If somebody's hurt and you have to replace him, you got to replace him with somebody bigger.
That is true.
Throw Okada in there. Not saying Page isn't a big deal, but a debuting Okada in AEW, are you kidding me? You have to throw him in there. But at that point, then I'm like, oh, okay, give Okada the belt. Let Okada win it.
That was my next question. I'm glad you answered it. All right, let's talk about what arguably should be the main event. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, his last match. I should have put his figure up here with all these other guys. I can't believe I didn't. It's sitting right here. I'll get it in a second. The Stinger, his final match, teaming up with Darby Allin to take on the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles. We've talked about this before. I hate that this is predictable. Sam Roberts said on his podcast he thinks there's a shot Sting and Darby could win. I don't see that happening at all. But I don't know. Like I'm interested to see where they go with these Bucks characters. It's definitely a change of pace from the previous stuff, which I'm okay with. Do you ever see a scenario in which they somehow transition back to their normal Buck stuff?
Yes. I think it could be one of those situations where, like, whenever Kenny comes back from injury, he could talk some sense into him. Or he could, there he is. Or he could, I think you could do something like that where Kenny talks him back into being who they were and why everybody fell in love with them in the first place. However, I do love the characters they have now. I think it works really well. I actually lean on the side that they're going to retain.
You do?
I think Sting and Darby Allin are going to retain.
Okay, so because like last week or week before, whenever we were talking about it, it was like it's a last match. It's done.
It is. I think looking at the rest of the card, I think we could see a couple more title changes. Like, I think you could see the women's title change. I think you could see the world title change. I don't think... Oh, maybe. maybe Danielson beats Kingston, or maybe Garcia beats Christian. So I'm just saying there's a lot
Roddy
of
Strong beats Orange Cassidy.
possible. Yeah. So like there's a lot of like not all the titles are going to change hands.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of ones that like would be a really big shock. Sting keeping the title would be a really big shock. And then you could have somebody else come in with Darby.
And take Sting's place.
Like Sting could find an heir to the throne type thing. But I feel like that heir to the throne would be just Darby Allin.
Exactly.
But Darby could pick somebody. Darby could bring somebody in with the title as well. I'm not saying it's like a lock that they're going to win. I think it's like a 50-50 shot. I wouldn't be shocked if they retained.
Speaking of Sting's career, and we're going to do some Sting trivia here in just a few minutes. Just saw Monday Night Raw graphic that Ole Anderson passed away. I did not see that earlier today, so that is very sad. One of the original Four Horsemen is one of the original bookers in WCW. He's also famously the person that told The Undertaker that he'd never draw a dime in the wrestling business. Funny how that worked out. Anyway, so
I told a lot of people that, to be fair.
Sure. Condolences to Ole Anderson and his family. Very,
Absolutely.
very sad. Part of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, all that kind of stuff. Famously was handcuffed to Giant Gonzalez when he was in WCW as Elegante, and that was during Sting versus Ric Flair, Great American Bash 1990.
Oh.
So, fun fact. Speaking of Sting and his historic career, again, we're going to get to trivia here in just a minute. I got the stinger out here. Do you think this is really the end?
That's the thing. That's the thing, man. Ric Flair has ruined retirements for me in wrestling.
Yes.
Hogan, too, to a certain extent. And Mark Henry, to a certain extent, too, because that promo, man, I watched it the other day, and every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is where he retired. Oh, wait, no, he kills Cena right here.
It's that jacket.
However, we never heard him say in WWE that one of his matches was his last match, because obviously he got hurt against Seth, and then he never did anything else there.
Agreed.
So I feel like he's one of those guys.
Yep.
Like Shawn Michaels, because we do not talk about the other one.
We don't. No, we don't.
That when he says he's retired,
he's done.
He's done.
Yep.
Unless there's just a can't miss opportunity.
And the only one is The Undertaker.
Yeah. And I don't think either one of them are going to do that.
It's not going to happen.
Because the only other example I have, like, Austin stayed true to it until it was the perfect opportunity with Kevin Owens.
Sure.
So, like, I think Sting's in that same boat. Not saying that he's not going to show up from time to time and do maybe, be in Darby's corner or this, that, or the other. But I think this is probably, when he says it's it, this is probably it.
Well, and two, like we talked about Austin, who, made an incredible comeback and had the match with Kevin Owens and Shawn Michaels and blah, blah, blah. Shawn Michaels wasn't horrible in that match. He just wasn't expecting to have to work the whole match. Triple H. Jeez.
And Kane's mask.
It's
just I need to go back and watch it just to see how much of a train wreck that actually was.
I know, I do too. But anyway, I've seen it once. I've literally never gone back and watched it.
Well, I think we watched it here, didn't we?
We watched it here live. Yeah, we did.
I've never seen Chris cry in person before, but it was
it's not good. I haven't lost my train of thought here. Oh, no, what I was going to say is you talked about the window.
Yeah.
Sting's window is much smaller than everybody else's.
Absolutely.
He's, 62 now?
I think so.
With a bad neck?
Yeah.
Like,
jumping off the top of the balcony, he's like, it's nothing, though.
Probably not going to happen. All right, no, but in all seriousness, I agree with you. Like, when Sting says he's done, he's done.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen either.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right. As we wrap up here with AEW, and then we got some Sting trivia, and then we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys joining us. Let's run down predictions for the card. Let's go all the way around.
Okay.
I have my little notes here. World title match: Swerve, Hangman, and Samoa Joe. Prediction.
Give me Swerve. I think it's time. Put the belt on him.
I think if I had to make a prediction, again, I'd have almost zero context. I'm going to go Swerve as well. All right, TNT Championship, Christian Cage and Daniel Garcia. Could see Edge pop up in this.
Maybe.
Who knows? Adam Copeland, sorry. What are your thoughts?
This has Christian retaining all over it.
I agree, and I'm not even following.
Did you see the promo?
No.
Where obviously Daniel Garcia's father has passed.
Okay.
and Christian's doing his normal,
Sure.
you need a father figure thing. And Daniel Garcia looked at him and said, "You keep running your mouth about my dad, and you'll be 6 feet down beside him." I was like, that's a great line. That's a great way to do that.
I love that. That's hilarious. All right. Christian retains Women's Championship. Toni Storm, Deonna Purrazzo, you indicated your prediction earlier.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between the two.
Sure.
But I'm going to go with future booking, and so I'm going to go with Toni.
I'm going to go with Toni just for the sake of I won't say I don't know that much about Deonna, but I feel like that Toni is riding this wave. I think we need to just keep going with it.
Yep.
AEW Continental Crown, Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. Stipulation being that Danielson has to shake his hand if he loses. Is that right?
Yep.
Eddie Kingston is the Continental Crown champion going into this.
I'm going Eddie to retain. I think Eddie needs another big win under his belt. And I think there's no other big win than beating Danielson. So I think that's it.
I agree with that. Let's go Eddie on that one. Both of their former best friends, I mean, kind of whatever. I don't know what the relationship is. I don't think they know what the relationship is. Jon Moxley and Claudio against FTR. Could be a dark horse for match of the night, if you ask me.
That's kind of I think either the triple threat or Kingston Danielson or this one's going to be match of the night. I think those are the three that are right up there. I do think FTR are going to win.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to be the ones to take the titles off of whoever wins in the main event. Or in the main event, probably.
Okay. All right. I'll just be different on this one for the fun of it, and I'll say Mox and Claudio because, again, I think Jon Moxley is the face of AEW, and I've always thought that, and I think he should win. All right, Meat Madness, stolen from Big E, but that's okay. Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Lance Archer, and more names to be named later. I assume Keith Lee will be a part of this. Whatever. What are the rules of this match?
I haven't really paid attention, so I don't know a whole lot. But
cool. I don't think anybody knows. That's fantastic. Who's going to win?
Wardlow. It's Wardlow.
Makes sense. All right.
Have you his gimmick of flexing in the Titantron? Have you seen that?
I know.
Where it's like you know how when you show like the Titantron on the camera is like continuously showing the same thing. It's just him flexing though. They show him flexing and they show it in the It's amazing how they do it.
That's hilarious. All right, International Championship, Orange Cassidy and Roddy Strong.
I'm going Roddy on this one. I think we're going to get to the point where Cole's faction is going to have all the gold. Yep. And I think it continues right here.
I think I'm going to go with Roddy as well. Quick sidebar. Is Orange Cassidy the greatest champion in the history of AEW?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me? The dude puts in more work than anybody else, and people still doubt how good he is in the ring. And then he gets in the ring, and you're like, yeah, he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to be.
Yeah.
For sure, especially in the short time of AEW.
Remember we said Moxley needs to go on vacation?
Yeah.
Cassidy needs to go on vacation at some point.
That's true. Takeshita and Will Ospreay.
This could be match of the night, too. And I think it's very easily Will Ospreay's going to win this.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Main event. Tag Team Championship. Sting and Darby Allin against the Young Bucks. We've toyed around with it. Now we got to make a prediction. Who are you going with?
I think I'm going Sting and Darby to retain.
Wow. Okay.
I think Sting's sons are going to get involved.
Okay.
I think they are going to get the job done. I think they're also going to beat the crap out of Sting and Darby after the match is over.
Okay.
So that's how he gets the win, but he goes down on his back still because the Bucks are going to do what they did to him the other night. I think just worse.
I'm going to pick the Bucks of Youth in this match. And there is going to be outside interference. They are going to be helped by Ric Flair.
Oh, my gosh.
So that Ric Flair can turn on Sting.
One last time.
One last time.
You know what? I wouldn't hate it.
That's how it ends.
I wouldn't hate it.
It just makes sense.
It does. It does.
Sting started his career with Flair and ends it with Flair.
That makes sense. I'm just happy it's not a one-on-one between the two of them. Like it was rumored to be for a long time. I'm glad it's not that.
It could have been bad. They probably had to talk Flair out of it.
Yeah. Sting probably had to talk Flair out of it.
That's a good point. I would hope Sting would